Okay, I'm Pamela Crump Rodwani, for those that don't know. I'm down here in Gloucester, Virginia. Um, this was the home of Mordecai Cooke in the early 1600s. The way I found that out, I was in Williamsburg and I picked up this book called The Ghost of Gloucester. And what do you know? Right there in the back is Mordecai's Mountain. This was Mordecai's Mountain. When he passed away, he gave this land to the church. A lot of the Cookes are buried here, Smiths, Jones, Cunninghams. It's not coincident that we're all here today at chapel. So they start here and they move west. We're looking for the grave of Mordecai, which right now Kent and I have not been able to find, which there's a whole row of them. So the Cooke family ended up in New Kent County in the early 1700s, and we go from there. Okay, so here we are back in New Kent at Cumberland Estates. As you can see, the place behind us is stunning. Before everybody gets too excited here, this was built in the 1600s by our family, the Little Pages. And at that time on the hill, it was a story and a half. So the old house is the tiny area inside this place, which has been built on for many years. The Little Pages and the Chamberlain family intermarried, and the Little Pages are still buried here down the hill in the cow pasture, which I'm going to show you. The Cooke family intermarried with the Chamberlains, and they were given a piece further down called North Green. So why don't we have it today? Well, the Little Pages lost it in gambling debts. So let's go see the cemetery. The cemetery down the hill of the Little Pages and the Chamberlains. The Chamberlains were actually dug up by the Chamberlain family and moved up to St. Peter's. This is what's left of the Little Page graves. It was pretty huge, covered in beautiful trees and everything when Uncle Drex and I came down here before. This is Frances Little Page, the wife of Captain Richard Little Page. All these were imported from England, and they're all 16 to early 1700s. Real slow. Many of the Little Page children were buried here. Twins. Sarah Little Page was the wife of probably Richard Little Page II. And she passed away on her birthday, 1711 to 1734. And I just want you all to look at that guy over there. We will not be staying here very long. Big boy. So right now we're heading to North Green. Bruce, forgive me, I won't be here long. We're going to show you where the North Green house was. This was a gift from the Little Pages and Chamberlains, a wedding gift that is, to the first William Cooke that left Gloucester and came here to New Kent. So North Green, we're going to show pictures of what North Green looked like. This is the foundation. My parents were going to rebuild North Green. They didn't get to finish. There's a huge cemetery over here. I want to give thanks to Ann Cooke. Ann Cooke was Colonel Cooke and Sarah's middle daughter. She kept an extensive diary through the years where everybody, when they died, births, deaths, and where they were buried. This is one of the huge cemeteries. It's Cooke's and later Boswell's, who intermarried. Let's So the cemetery here, one of the Cooke girls married a Boswell, so this is the Boswell area, but the cemetery was absolutely huge. It keeps going. Most of it is not marked. I will be putting up on the screen who's buried where at some of these places. Okay, so we've gone through the Cooke lines, ended up in New Kent at North Green, and William, the second William, married Rebecca Hayes. Her father was a merchant there at Cumberland, and they had 3 children: Colonel Richard Pye Cooke, William Chamberlain Cooke, and Hartwell. So Colonel Cooke was an educated man. He went to William and Mary, and he came back and took his father's position down at Chestnut Grove. His father was an overseer at Chestnut Grove. So Colonel Cooke was working there and eventually bought it. He bought the Dandridge place, the home of the first lady, and married Sarah Ann Eliza Chandler from next door, the Chandler place, which was Laurel Grove. And they had 3 girls and twin boys. The twin boys died in about 7 months old, and they're buried there at Chestnut Grove, along with Martha, a few of Martha's, Dandridge, Washington's brothers and sisters. Their 3 girls, it was Cordelia, Anne Elizabeth, and Mary Aurelia. So Cordy, the oldest girl, married Richard Graves Smith Jr. from Hanover, and they had 12 children. Even though he fought the whole Civil War, they had a child every year. So I guess he got to come home a lot. His brother was killed actually in 1865 in the war. She was pretty homesick, so they left Hanover and bought a place near Chestnut Grove, which they called Riverview. After the war, he wasn't the same person. They lost everything that they had. A lot of people did. And they ended up moving back with the children into Chestnut Grove with her parents. Seemed like nobody wanted to leave Chestnut Grove. Um, their youngest daughter, Mary, married Hammond Fletcher Crumps Sr. So from these children of Richard Graves and Cordy, the 12 children, you get a lot of our family names now. Who was there? And from Hammond Fletcher and Mary, they had 7 children. One died, so 6 children. And out of those, Florence married William Clarke, next door, and Bessie married Dr. Slater, L.A. Slater, from next door. The reason that we have chapel every year, I mean, it's great food and you get to see everyone, but it's to remember the people that built chapel. Chapel was built during the Civil War, and the people that built it and have kept it going, and all those that have worked so hard to bring us all together once a year. Okay, the oldest child of Hammond Fletcher and Mary Aurelia was Pryor, and Pryor Crump, and he, first let's go back to Laurel Grove, the Chandler place. Theodore, they called him Thee, and Uncle Deli lived there for a long time in peace and harmony until one of them got married, and then the love affair was over. The other brother didn't get along with the wife, so it was split right down the center. It was east and west Laurel Grove. Now, she didn't allow any women in her side of the house, and they never had any children. So Pryor Crump from Aspen Grove went down there to live with them and work with them and take care of them. And he said really the reason he left Aspen Grove, it was too many darn kids. So he ended up there, and that's why the Crumps ended up down there, Charles Crump. And boy, did we miss Charles's stories. And I'm going to tell some of them, but not today because everybody's hungry. So all that will be on Facebook. I actually have him filmed telling some of his great stories. So I left out a major part here. It's a lot to remember, and it gets very confusing. Here's the fun part. Hammond Fletcher, after he's married to Mary, they have 7 children, 6 survived. Mary passed away, and Hammond Fletcher marries the niece of the first wife, who's named after her aunt. It was Mary Aurelia. He married Margaret Aurelia. They had 7 children, 6 survived, and all that was at Aspen Grove. No wonder Pryor left. He's like, this house is full of kids and I gotta go. I'm from the second set. My grandfather was Virgin Graves Crump, Senior, who my dad's named after. My brother is the third. Second set. Okay, so backing up to Richard Graves Smith Sr., like I said, he wasn't the same after the war. He was a little on the angry side. Didn't want his daughters dating anyone, ran them all off, lost everything he had. They're living back with her parents with all those children. So the first daughter, who they called Nanny, married her cousin. They had to run away and get married in secret. They went to Washington, D.C. and got married, and then came home. From those children, 2 of their girls married Johnsons. Linwood Gregory's family, that's where Linwood Gregory's family comes from. One of the daughters there was an Edwards, and then they married a Johnson, and Gregory, and that's where that family comes in. And Colonel Cooke's middle daughter that wrote the diary, thank God, she didn't want to leave home. She wasn't well. She was in her 30s. Her parents were humiliated that she wasn't married yet. She had suitors. She finally broke down and married a Jones from next door and wouldn't leave home. He had to leave his home, bring his chickens and everything, come over to Chestnut Grove, and that's where they lived as well. I'm not sure how many rooms were in Chestnut Grove, but it had to be a lot, or a lot of beds anyway. She only lived probably a year and a half after her marriage, and she's the very first person to be buried at New Kent Chapel. She picked her spot out during the war when they were putting window panes in, and she said, I want to be buried right there, and she was the first to be buried there at New Kent Chapel. I want to thank Nellie Barham for all the research she did before computers. I can't imagine. All this will be on Facebook. All the cemeteries and who's buried there will be on Facebook. And if you have any questions, reach out to me. And hey, go have a good lunch. Take care.